Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. I'm going to talk to you today about sharpening handsaws. My first handsaw was one that I inherited from my grandfather. It was pretty well worn out, and when I tried to use it, it was too dull to cut wood. Well, unfortunately, I took a file to it, and I pretty well butchered that handsaw. So for 20 years, I never touched another handsaw with a triangular file. What made me want to start up again? Well, I just wanted to see how it worked. I wanted to learn how to do something I wasn't able to do. So I did a lot of studying. Sharpening handsaws is actually pretty easy. Just a couple of quick tips that make it so that it all works better for you. We're going to start with a rip saw. Rip saw is the easiest one to sharpen because we don't have to worry about bevel angles and whether it's got enough lead or enough fleam or any of the other buzzwords that you're going to hear about when you talk about saw sharpening. We'll get to those in the next video when we talk about a crosscut saw. But for today, let's talk about a rip saw. A rip saw is a series of straight cut teeth. The teeth are cut straight across this way so that they act like chisels. Remember we talked about chisels earlier. The chisels, each one of these teeth acts like just takes one bite out of the wood. You have to have enough tooth there to do the cutting. You have to have enough gullet. It's a fancy word for the gap between two teeth. You have to have enough gullet so that that chip falls in there and clears out of the way. That's based on how thick the wood is that you're cutting, what kind of angle you're cutting, and how soft the wood is. Softer wood is gummier and it tends to clog up the gullet. So let's do the first step of sharpening a saw, which is jointing. You ever hear the phrase, "You got all out of joint"? Well, we're going to show you what it means. This vise I picked up at an antique shop for $15. They're getting more popular now, and people are starting to understand what they are. But the guy I bought it from didn't know that it was a saw vise. He said it was a clamp. Well, it is. It clamps a saw. Joining a saw uses a simple little tool that holds the file. This is a rather clever one that's made out of cast iron, and it's made by the Atkins Company, Indianapolis, Indiana. Nice little tool. I picked this up at an antique shop too. Kind of get a trend here, don't I? But you don't need to have anything this fancy. A piece of 2x4 with a slot cut in it to hold the file will do pretty much the same thing we're going to do here. But since I have this, and I did buy it, I'm going to use this. The way this joiner works, this slider clamps the file. You put the file in between the little bar and these two stops. You take a screwdriver and you tighten it up. Don't tighten it too much. It'll actually bend the file. We don't want the file bent. We want it nice and straight. The joiner holds the file so that it runs right straight across the teeth. Kind of noisy, but joining involves taking the file and running it across the teeth of the saw blade until it makes a flat spot on the tip of each tooth. Some teeth don't have a flat on it. We want to go not too far. Sometimes don't file too much. Just a little shiny spot on the tip of the teeth is all you really need. Now that we have the teeth jointed, we can set the saw further down in the vise and get ready for the actual sharpening.